what do you? You just got screened at Austin Film Festival. I mean,
this is great. This is definitely the highlight of the movie. You know, people are really nice here. I mean, this is just a great town. People are really friendly. I think they really opened up to the movie. We got a pretty warm reception. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was kind of nerve-wracking though. Right before walking in the theater with the people there already, it was kind of nerve-wracking, but it was good. After they started laughing at Harold's jokes, I knew it's going to be smooth sailing.
Yeah, Harold was really—he's
great.
He's a character, man.
Yeah, but he can sit behind the chair and tell you stories without any sets, without any special effects, and make people laugh. Where people make $40 million movies, where it's just not funny, you know.
And he really missed that whole thing.
And I think what I'm really proud of, all four of the filmmakers really came across as being honest.
So I really enjoyed the documentary, and I thought it would be perfect for Austin because there's so many writers and directors here and producers, and I'm sure they would be so curious about learning about the creative process from directors that are very well known. And you got some very candid interviews. It seemed like they were very relaxed and friendly and open to sharing their ideas. Can you tell us about how you were able to do that and how you were able to capture that in the film?
Absolutely. Actually, I know Forrest pretty well, so that was easy for Forrest. I worked with John McNaughton before, so those two are kind of people that I've known. But as for John Sells, I met him the same day, and he just felt relaxed. Actually, John Sells was the first interview that I shot. That was shot on High 8, and then a few years later, kind of waited for the DVD revolution to kick in, and that's when I shot. The second one was, I think, John McNaughton. Then Forrest came along, and then Harold was the last one, and he's just such a interesting person to listen to.
And how did you get in touch with Harold and how?
With Harold, he's from Chicago, and I actually I recently moved to LA, but I shot most of my films out of Chicago, and we had some common friends. So I basically called him up, and I told him about the other filmmakers who were already in the film, and he agreed to do it.
And what was the idea behind it? Why did you decide to shoot a documentary like this, and why did you choose a particular style?
Well, this is the movie that I kind of like what John Sells said about his book. This is the movie that I wish I had access to when I went to film school, and I just wanted to make a movie where you can really get to know them. And the editing is very, we have this long takes because why edit unless there's a need for it. And as far as choosing the four filmmakers, with the first one, it started out with like Forrest and McNaughton, who I've worked with in the past, and then the other two. And the main reason I really respect all four of these filmmakers, and they also do not do too many interviews, and you're not gonna, they don't do E.T. There's nothing wrong with it, but they just do not do too many interviews. Most of the film was shot like around 2000, 2001, and that's when I moved to LA. I got this Final Cut Pro. And I was used to editing, but not with the Final Cut Pro. So it was a very, and I wanted to edit this, and it was kind of a tedious process. I mean, I'm not a computer person. I'm kind of getting better at it now. And I remember actually, I edited the movie. It was like about 3 hours long. It was 2 hours long, and I actually lost the movie like in the computer a couple of times. So altogether, I edited this thing for over a year.
But you had to learn the program.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
And that takes a while.
Oh yeah.
So what are your plans with the film now? Are you?
Well, we are fortunate enough to actually get distribution on this. IndieCam just picked up the film.
That's true.
Actually, partly because of Austin Film Festival. When they found out it's going to be screening at Austin, it's like almost a day after, a couple of days after that. Yeah.
Oh, great.
And they were already aware of the film, but that's when they decided to distribute the movie.
I think it would, definitely there's a market for a film like this. And, I'm sure there's lots of information. There's lots of people interested in filmmaking, and it's a little mini education. You just pop it in, and
Exactly.
and yet not only get practical information, but it's inspirational as well.
Especially nowadays, anybody can pick up a little camera, you do not have to live in LA. I mean,
right.
I just moved to LA because I also do some acting, but if you're a filmmaker, no, there's no need to go anywhere. You can live wherever you are, be happy, and make your movie.
And what was your participation?
Actually, I was did some second unit work. I met Kevin, another film I did, Death and Taxes, previous to that, and working on that. That was actually my film school work, and on that film I learned how to work with actors, lighting, and everything. So that actually inspired me more to become a director, and which I'm just finishing my feature now. So it's like I actually working with Kevin was actually my film school, and
But you also went to film school?
Yeah, I went to Columbia in Chicago.
Okay. So you had to come up with your own budget with the idea that you would eventually get a distributor, is that right?
Oh, yeah,
So it was
yeah,
all
this was
very,
self-financed.
yeah, so, that makes this even more of a success, because, you're able to sell it and get distribution, it'll have a life now.
Exactly,
So,
that's
a
what
lot-
it's all about. You want to make a movie, you want people to see it.
Right, but also at the same time, you go in there with that expectation, but, it's not necessarily going to happen, and that each film is a learning experience, and you have to go through those mistakes, because that's what you'll learn more than you would in film school, because film school is, depending on where you go, is more like it's not getting the camera in your hand and shooting footage and assembling it and going on to make the next one, whereas, there's no way around that experience of making all those technical mistakes and those financial mistakes and those narrative mistakes, or don't even call them mistakes, it's just like veering off the path.
Right.
And then getting back on the path. So, and that's, again, something I kind of picked up from those guys as well.
Absolutely.
They seemed to be pretty fearless about what they wanted, and they didn't seem to, I think had they known the outcome of how difficult it was, they might have not started in the first place. But they were so driven and passionate about what they did that they got through it, and they learned what they needed to do, and they're fulfilling their dreams. And
Absolutely. It's like failure is like another word for experience, and you have to fail just so you can learn from it.
And are you interested in doing narratives?
Yes, actually, I finished a narrative since then. The one that we was talking about, Death and Taxes. It's about people dealing with death, all taking place in or around the taxi cab over an unspecified amount of time in the streets of Chicago. And I shot them on DV.
Great. When will we be able to see that?
Hopefully next year.
Okay, and you have festival plans for that? Are you going to do that?
Absolutely.
Great. Well,
Absolutely.
I hope we see it here next year.
Hope to come back. This is a great town. Hope to come back here again.
Have you been to the panels and?
Actually, I was gonna be here yesterday, but I'm actually working on a film in LA now,
Ah.
so I couldn't get here till yesterday night. But yeah.
Yeah, well, we still have some great film screening, and we have some panels tomorrow,
Great.
so hopefully we can make
Excellent.
that.
Excellent.
My question is, whenever you're editing,
Yes.
is your role basically to present what the people's views, who you've interviewed, or is it your vision? If there's something that comes out that you don't necessarily agree with, do you present it, or do you filter that through?
You know what, I'm glad that you brought that up. It's like, as a film editor, especially in a documentary, I mean, you're really shaping their answer by editing. So I was very careful with this project. The only time I edited was when there's like technical problem or whatever. So I kind of left it the way they said it. Like when you talk, like you ask me something, I'm not gonna edit you, It's like I wanted to have that feeling that they're actually talking to the audience. So to answer your question, I only did it when I had to.
I like the way you separated it up thematically. It really was a nice cue to set my mind up to what was
Right.
happening next.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
it definitely had kind of a nice progression too.
The other thing about the host, when I shot the John Sells thing, I was actually asking the questions. I was more of a traditional host. And by the time I started editing the movie, I realized that I wanted to do something different. I wanted the host to represent the listener. Because you see talk shows and, sometimes, not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with it, the talk show hosts, they kind of go out of their way to shape, again, what you're talking about, the guest answer, and I just didn't want to do that. So I wanted to have this thing, like the silent host.
How much footage, not footage, but how long did you interview them was? For like an hour and a half?
Basically, no, about 3 to 4 hours on the average, yeah. 3 to 4, yeah, John Sells 3-4 hours, same with John. And Harold was probably a little bit longer. Yeah, I mean, we talked about other things too that didn't make it to the final cut. We probably have on the DVD. But they're all done within 1 day each.
Okay, well, I want to thank
Right.
Kevin
Thank you.
and your partner. I'm sorry your name again.